Hey, 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 welcome to the Jas Takhar Podcast, episode 263. And as usual, we're going to be jumping right into live coaching calls. And if you want to make sure that you get your question answered on all things sales, business, real estate, it's I apologize, not the phone number, the link is ftguacademy.com/call, as I got my boy Bobo taking my phone, doesn't have his phone. And so we just needed to make sure that we have a phone to make sure that we're connected. But for you to get your question answered, as I mentioned, go to ftguacademy.com/call. It's approximately a 10-minute call. You get to come live on the Jas Takhar Podcast to, again, look, you might have questions about how do I generate more business? How do I generate more referrals? How do I do social media? How do I put out more content? Maybe it's about thinking about building a team. Whatever burning question that you have, I want you to get it answered, and as well share it with the colleague. Look, if you find this valuable, you're not paying for this. We don't charge for our content here on the Jas Takhar Podcast. It was something that I decided 263 episodes ago that I'm going to make sure that I bring as much value as I possibly can to the world, and I want to do it for free. And why? A lot of people ask, why do you do it for free? Why don't you have sponsors? Why don't you, put it on certain platforms where you can start charging for people, charging people to watch and listen? And the reason is because I'll always find a way to get it monetized. And what I mean by that is at times it might be through a speaking gig, it might be through a training at a brokerage, it might be through my coaching academy, it might be a client who's thinking about buying, selling, or investing. It all comes back. But I know we have our first question lined up by, it's actually a very dear friend of mine as well. So anytime I get to speak to this guy, it excites me. What's going on, Essen?
Hey, Jas, how's it going, buddy?
Good, my man. I mean, you've been a long time listener. This is the first time that you're calling in, but you're also part of our academy. You've been getting coached by us for, I don't know how long now, probably coming up to a year. And then you did some content with us. For everybody who's watching right now, make sure you go follow my boy Essen. This guy puts out content on a regular basis on both, from what I know for sure, on YouTube and on Instagram. Make sure you go follow this guy, Bobo. Let's make sure we put Essen's profile in the description. But Essen, what's your favorite, buddy? Do you like your content on YouTube, or do you like your content on your podcast? Do you like your content on Instagram? What's your favorite out of the three, brother?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I mean, I like all platforms. I think I'm more into Instagram right now, but I think like following your content on YouTube, I do want to kind of grow that side of things as well.
So what's your YouTube? What's your YouTube handle, man? Like, what's your page? How do people find you?
It just got to search Essen Raza Real Estate, and I got my podcast there. Got some clips there. Both real estate and non-real estate, like my hobbies or whatever. I want to share my passions as well. So
I love it.
It's kind of like a fun thing, like what you do and what you and Laura do.
And you're coming up to like episode 50 or something soon, right?
Yeah, episode 50, just a month away from now.
It flies, my man. It flies. I know you probably have a question that you want answered. Go at it, man.
Yeah. No, well, first of all, I appreciate you taking my call and amazing work that you and Laura and the whole team do. I really appreciate it. It's been such a pleasure with you guys and doing all the work. But the question I had for you is, so I've been in the industry for about a decade now, just over a decade. And, I would say I'd have a pretty successful career based on the coaching I've got from you guys and other people and my parents and stuff. I did feel that I had a great first half this year. What I noticed was the second half kind of got off to a bit of a rocky start. And I've been doing the calls, been doing some events, doing a lot of things, like I said, doing stuff for free as well that I can. But sometimes, being in the industry for over a decade, I felt like, why am I in a slump? And so that kind of got me down a little bit. And I'm just wondering if you have any tips that you can share as to how I can still kind of pick myself back up and stay motivated, even though things are not happening, but still doing the action that I can do, but just kind of waiting for the results to happen now.
Yeah, man. Look, I think when it comes to staying motivated, people use words like staying inspired, and it's something that's, very close, near and dear to my heart in terms of trying to inspire people. I think the environment that you put yourself in on a consistent basis, like and on like a daily basis, is going to be very important. Now, I know you for, as I mentioned, a while now, and I've got to spend a lot of time with you. Your nature on a regular business, your on a daily business, your energy that you bring is one of positivity. So I know that might be tough for you to kind of hear, because it's like, man, sometimes I'm not the most motivated person. I'm not necessarily happy at all times, but at least to what other people see from the outside, I can tell you, and I'm speaking for myself, I'm speaking for Laura, I'm speaking for Bo, and everyone that gets to see you on a weekly basis as you come into our office, and when we just talk through text messages and all that kind of stuff, and through your content, obviously, and let the people who are watching and listening make that decision themselves. Your energy is one of positive frequency. So I want you to kind of understand that, at least that you're hearing it from somebody else. But for you to stay in that, it really depends on what environment you're always putting yourself in. And I don't just mean like the physical environment. I mean, from a mental perspective, what are you listening to when you're driving in? What are you listening to when you're going back home? What are you watching? I mean, I have, and I'm sure you've noticed it over the years in the office, man, like we have our large office, which is like the brokerage. And then we kind of have our own, West Wing, so to speak. And in the rest of the office, and I have nothing against, the brokers or anything of that sort, you'll notice that there's like CP24 running. And for everybody else, that's the CNNs and the Foxes and news. But in our West Wing, the TVs, there's none of that news stuff on. Why? Because I made the decision that, look, I can't protect what Bo and the rest of my team and any of my coaching clients do outside my door, but inside my door, we're not watching anything that is portraying a negative frequency. And at the end of the day, I got nothing, against the news, because they got a job to do in terms of selling ads. And negative news sells. Whatever bleeds, it leads. I just don't want it around me and around my staff inside my wall. So that's how I protected my environment, right? And so what you need to consistently do, brother, is put positive information in. Like I got, my success table to the left of me here in my studio, and they're all acronyms. I didn't really understand the periodic table of elements. So I decided to build my own success table of elements. And one of them is GIGO, which stands for garbage in, garbage out. So if you're watching what's happening on the news all the time, you're watching a bunch of negative shit, guess what's going to come out? Is all that negative stuff, right? And so on the flip side, though, if you're hanging around 5 people that are constantly trying to inspire themselves, they're trying to step their game up, they're trying to make sure that they're watching the words that they're saying to themselves as well as the people around them, there's a really good chance that you're going to be number 6. And the reason for that is because they're not going to want you to be around if you're the one who's trying to always bring them down, right? And so I think in your sense, buddy, it's all about the environment. I know it's hard on a daily basis. And let me add this too as well, brother, for you, that a lot of people will ask me, right? They'll be like, how do you always stay positive? How are you always happy? And I'm like, look, the truth of the matter is there's times I have tough days as well. In fact, 20 times a year, I'm probably saying, and I think I maybe even mentioned this to you yesterday, right? Like when you were at the office, that 20 times in a year, I'm like, fuck it. I'm done, bro. Like I've had it, 20 moments in a year I have. What I've also noticed is that I just don't stay in those moments that long. And so to you, I'm saying, don't be so hard on yourself. It's not about being happy all the time and walking outside in your backyard and saying, okay, there's no weeds in the back. Like, oh no, my grass is nice. No, if there's weeds, there's weeds. You got to tend to it. You got to make sure that you take care of them. And so it's not about not having bad moments. I think the game that I'm playing, and I have not mastered this, in full transparency, brother, this is the challenge, is I'm trying not to stay in a negative vibration as long as I did before. So I'm giving myself like, 30, 60, 90 seconds to get out of that. So if I want to bitch and I want to complain, I'll do it for 90 seconds and it's gone. That's the game I'm trying to master. So also understand that it's not about never having bad moments. It's a matter of, okay, how do I get out of it quicker? Did that bring you value, man?
Oh, 100%, man. Yeah, I think, I totally understand. And I like the fact that, like, you're real, you show your successes and also your failures. And that the fact that you mentioned that gives you a little bit of hope that, even you have bad days and it's okay. You just got to kind of, trust the process, like you always say. And I think I heard this something in the movie on it's process, not perfection, right?
100%.
Progress, not perfection.
It's not, man, because we know that that perfection doesn't exist, right? And look, man, I got two boys, 10-year-old and 8-year-old, like literally turning 11 into 9 in the next couple of months, and just like every other parent, that's why I never speak about parenting advice outside of my own home. The only person I ever speak to that about is mommy and like my wife. That's it, because who the hell am I to tell you how to parent your kids or vice versa? I don't think you should be able to tell me how I should parent my kids either, but it's tough, and like there's moments where it's like, I know I'm getting everything wrong. Then on the flip side, I also know like, oh shit, man, like, this as a dad, like, when they hug you and they kiss you and you're like, oh, wow, like, shit, man. Like, okay, I got this. You know what I've come to realize, bro? You're never really as good as your best days and you're not as bad as your worst days. You're somewhere in the middle. You know when there's times where you're like, holy shit, man, everything I'm touching right now is gold. It's kind of like your first half of the year.
Right.
Last couple of months, we're probably like, I can't close a door.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
100%. Exactly.
So you're not as good as you were maybe in the first half, and you're not as bad as like you can't close a door. You're somewhere in the middle. Just keep shooting. And I think from a business perspective, and I don't think I've ever said this to you because I want to give you something new because like you were, you got on this call today. I think now we need to start to think about growing the database and like growing your network. And one way of doing that, brother, and I want you to really think about this for the weekend. And I just know you, like you're going to come to me and like, I know you're going to put in the time and the effort with this, is that I want you to start to reach out to organizations that have real estate agents speak in terms of investing. So let me just make sure I wrap that up for you in a nice little bow. I want you to look for events that are happening where there's other real estate investors, and I want you to try to even get 5 minutes on stage. Okay. Got it?
Yeah.
And your talk, we'll figure that out after.
Right.
Okay? Like I'm coming out with a video, either Sunday night or Monday morning, and the video's about being resourceful. Like, that's the difference between, I think, anybody who does like 7 figures and everyone else kind of underneath that, okay? Is that being resourceful is a very, very highly valued skill, meaning now what I want you to do is I just want you to find the events where you can get 5 minutes. What you talk about, you and I will figure out later. I'll help you through that later. I just need you to because when you get on stage, 30 people in a room, 70 people, 700 people, the numbers just get bigger and bigger over time as you get more and more confident. 5 minutes turns also into 25 and an hour and a half. That your awareness now is that much more bigger, right? And so like you're going to have more eyes on you. We need to get a little bit more strategic on getting you into rooms where people are already having conversations about investing.
Got it.
That's your next kind of funnel I want you to start considering. We gotta find you stages. There's meetups that are happening right across the city, man. And there's no reason why you can't talk about really quickly the area that you cover, a quick market update. People want to know that.
Yeah, I never even thought about that
right?
idea. That's great.
Okay, buddy. So I want you to start thinking about that for the next 5-6 days until I see you, and then just come at me with a couple of events that we can quickly reach out. I'll give you the emails and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Amazing.
All right, brother.
Thank you, Jas.
Have yourself the best week ever. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I love where Essen went with me today. I really, really like that because I don't get to talk about that often because I know a lot of people watch my content and they're like, oh, this is awesome. This is great. And thank you for always bringing the positivity, Jas. You know, but what they don't see sometimes, and I try my best to Essen's point, try my best to also showcase all the friggin' failures. Like it's so funny. My 8-year-old yesterday at dinner just don't have no idea where it came from. And I'm not like making this up. It's just like winky dink. Where he said to me, Jas, like, Jas, does not call me Jas, by the way. Dad, do you ever hear no? Like, do you ever get no's or do you always sell a house to everyone you speak to? He's 8 years old, right? So he doesn't really get it as much. And I was like, buddy, I think today alone, which was him asking me yesterday, I was like, I think overall, and not just from people who are buying, selling, or investing, I think I've heard like 32 to 33 no's today. And he's like, that many? He's like, how mad do you get? I was like, son, just over time, man, you just understand that it's a numbers game. And I was like, somebody also did say yes yesterday. Like I got a speaking gig for, I think 300 people coming up in at the end of this month. And I was like, I had to probably go through, 22 of the no's I got to get to that one. And so that just takes time to understand that it's a numbers game and you got to keep working that muscle over time. To Essen's point, and I know we have our next caller waiting, and I appreciate your patience, Avery. What you have to do is understand that you're going to have bad months. You're going to have bad weeks. You're going to have bad days and you're going to have bad moments. Just try not to be so hard on yourself from the perspective of, well, fuck, I'm such an idiot. I can never get things right. Because, see, that just puts you into the rabbit hole even deeper. What you want to do when you have this inkling, this feeling that you're starting to have some negativity in terms of results, it's probably based on the thoughts and the words that you and the frequency that you were putting out previously. So we got to change that. We got to get onto a more of a positive frequency. Xavier, my boy, thank you for your patience.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
How you doing, my man?
Living the dream, brother. Living the dream. How are you?
I love that. I love that. You must be a long-term listener because that's usually my answer, living the dream.
Yeah, I decided to borrow it.
Hey, take everything I got, brother. There's enough.
I will.
There's enough to go. There's enough to go around. Talk to me, Xavier. What's your question today, brother?
So it's more of just a problem that I've been facing myself in my business. I have an online fitness business, a coach, and I do content on my Instagram to try to scale. And I'll do a day of filming. Like I'll go to a nice gym. I'll bring my camera with me. I'll get a bunch of filming done, and then I can bulk several different videos. Then I'll edit it, post all of it. But then there's times where I run out of content. Like I've already filmed a bunch of stuff, and then there's weeks where I don't post because I haven't had the time to get back in the gym, and I haven't filmed the content that I want to film. And then I'm not getting, traction anymore. So how do I stay on top of my actual content production? And maybe I need to be nicer to myself in terms of the content that I'm putting out because I spend so much time editing that I can't actually get out the volume that I'm looking for.
Yeah, so I think volume does matter. So I'm glad that you mentioned that right at the end, brother. I mean, I'm a definite disciple of the teachings that Gary Vaynerchuk, aka Gary V, puts out, which is quantity over quality. And when I learned that through his content, through his books, through the podcast I did with him, I got to spend some time with his team as well. It made so much sense to me because the more content you put out, the better chance you have of getting more engagement. You also get the feedback of what went well and what didn't go well. You also figure out what you like and what you don't like. So the quality of your content will get better through the amount of content you put out. The best analogy I can put out there is exactly what Steph Curry, four-time NBA champ, Olympic gold medalist. I mean, some will say that he's top 10. I believe he is. I think he's probably number 2 in terms of how he changed a sport. not necessarily number 2 on the all-time list, but like after Jordan, I think it's Curry who changed the sport of basketball for the, foreseeable future. Because if you go to a gym now and watch a basketball game, I mean, the kids all just shoot threes. This guy changed the game. And this is how he changed it. What he always does is take about 500 to 600 shots before and after practice. Before and after practice. Why? Because he's realized that he has to take more shots for more of them to go in. In a game, he can go 0 for 8 in the first quarter of a basketball game. The way he gets out of that slump and the way he gets more points is he shoots himself out of it, meaning he's just going to shoot another 8 in the next quarter because he understands there's no way he's going 0 for 16. And if he does, he doesn't really give a shit. He's also going to go for he's going to go for another 8. He knows that the numbers are going to end up working out. So in your question, quantity is huge, volume huge. Here's how you actually, in my opinion, how I kind of got around it and ensured that I always have content. I made the decision that I'm not going to create content. Okay? Meaning, and let me explain. Other than this podcast, it's the only time in my whole content process that this is created. Created meaning that I have it scheduled. I have to come here. We have to line up phone calls. We have, Bo behind the 1s and 2s. Okay. There's cameras here. It's a set. That's creating / the other word you use, production. Where I get majority of my content is that throughout the day, I'm just documenting what I'm doing. So if I go to do a stage talk at a brokerage or an event, I just bring one of my guys with me, my media guys. I'm going to Dubai to do a workshop training. I'm bringing Bo with me. Lucky him. And we're just going to film what I'm doing. I'm not going to do a lot of shoot to the camera stuff. Okay? So I made the decision that I am the content. Let me say that again, right? That I'm the content, meaning, Xavier, you are the content. Just show me what you're doing on a daily basis. Specifically for your online fitness business, in terms of content, I have a funny feeling you probably eat every day.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. How many times? 6 times?
6 times.
Okay. So that's 6 posts right there. Show me what you're eating. Because I know you're probably eating very, very healthy. And there's certain ways that you probably maybe change your diet and not and all that stuff. Okay. And no production needed. Throw it in your stories. Here's what I would do. I would put all my meals in the stories. Okay. Hey, this is what I'm eating. Boom. Whatever did well and any engagement on one of those stories, I would explain why you're eating steak and veggies for breakfast, for example. And then that's your post. Turn it selfie mode. I'm doing steak and veggies because I realized that, hey, man, the macronutrients, all that stuff that you want to educate people on. Okay?
Okay.
How many days a week do you work out?
Minimum 5.
Minimum 5. There's another 5 posts that you have. I want to see what your workouts are. No production needed, man. Like selfie mode. If you don't work out with somebody to spot you or anything. Literally just selfie mode. Showcase it. Now you got 11 guaranteed posts and you didn't do anything different.
Shit.
You didn't do anything different. Now, here's where I think you might be. So I'm gonna assume, and I know what that makes me, okay? But I know that 90% of people that I have conversations about this with are in this boat. They won't post that selfie mode of them working out and or just their food without having some type of filters and editing because they're worried about the thoughts of the people who are watching it because it's not polished enough.
I hear it.
What
That's why it takes you so long to post. And editing just to make it look like everyone else's stuff.
And brother, I mean, you're live on the pod right now, so I really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that. I actually think that's going to
I don't mind.
inspire some people. Okay. And as always, what is your Instagram handle, brother? The one that you're doing the online fitness.
Yeah, Zave Lift sometimes. So ZaveLiftSonetimes.
Perfect.
Yeah, so just Zave Lift sometimes. Yeah.
Perfect. And Bo will put that in the description as well, but people will go jump there and take a look. Now,
I appreciate that.
Now, that is what stops most people because of the thoughts of and the opinions of people that are watching them. But that's what is also hindering your volume. Because I just gave you 11 pieces of content for the week, buddy, almost two a day, okay, without you changing anything up. Then what I would do, okay, to add to it, because we want more, okay, I would actually start a 30-minute podcast like I'm doing right now. Bring on other fitness coaches. And just have conversations. Do it for 30 minutes on Zoom. Bring some of your clients on. Tell them to talk about their journey, not as an infomercial / testimonial kind of video, but just to talk about your journey. And because then what you can do there is because out of this, 30-minute podcast that I'm doing today, and sometimes an hour, minimum, we're going to get 5-6 clips out of it. If you do it weekly like I do, well, now you're up to 16, 17 pieces of content. Not to even, okay, now let me give you a little bit more volume. Once a day, give me, as a viewer, your best tips in terms of working out or nutrition or even mindset. Just one tip, bro. Just one. And don't edit it. See, you're even at, you like right now, your question couldn't have come at a better time, Avery, because the algorithms are actually pushing the videos that have less editing on them. And I know this to be true with my own content. I'm seeing it with others. Like I'm really obsessed with content. It changed the course of my life, right? And so I'm really in tune with it, that the more editing that you're doing, you're actually hurting yourself, not only from the volume perspective, but from the engagement perspective. And then the metric that I would advise you to watch for, and this has been me and my past team, like my past videographer editors, they, I'm sure, watch some of these clips and the pod sometimes. They'll tell you, I never cared about the likes. I never cared about the views. It's always been, for me, two metrics. One's online and one's offline. Online metric is how many shares am I getting on my videos? That's the only metric that I care about. Why? Because I know what it takes for somebody to share a video. There's 2-3 steps that are needed. You got to press the share button. You got to think about is it going in the WhatsApp group? Is it going to somebody in the same platform? Like all these things. And then the offline metric that I'm looking for is what's happening when I'm like, are people still coming up to me on the streets? Like in the bathroom, am I still getting asked questions because of content? Like when that starts to decrease, I know I'm not doing enough volume. Right? So it's offline and online. Online, I'm looking for shares because then I know the content was valuable either through education or entertainment. And then offline, what's happening just on the streets, man? Like when I'm talking to people, are A, people coming up to me, but B, or when I'm on the phone with somebody, someone giving me that, like, man, your content's awesome, brother. Like that's not going to show up on online because you have silent followers. I get it all the time on calls and I'm like, bro, I know that guy's name. That guy's never fucking pressed like on a video. So if I was using likes as my metric, it wouldn't show up. You know what I mean? If that was the only metric, for example, I was looking at. So was this valuable in terms of answering the volume question?
100%. Yeah, I really have no excuse. That's what I've figured out here.
Brother, I just gave you a minimum of 11 posts today in your stories. And then when you start putting them up on the stories and you get engagement, you're going to say, shit, man, Jas was pretty right. Like in terms of people do like the raw stuff, And then whatever you get engagement on in your stories, that then you use as a test to put into your feed. At the start, like me, I do everything in stories and feed. Like I don't really care. You know what I mean? I don't need it to disappear in 24 hours. I could get, if I needed something to disappear in 24 hours, I'm probably not going to even put it up on stories anyways. Right. So what I really want to drill home with you is that, like, today, okay. And Bo, let's friggin' really put Xavier on, hold him accountable here. You've probably eaten already twice, so I'll let you off the hook there. I need your 4 next meals and your next your next workout today to go up on your stories. You just watch what happens over time, buddy. I guarantee you, I'm not even saying this might work. I guarantee you it's going to work. And especially when you take one of those videos and put it into your feed and tell me exactly why it's good to have, your cottage cheese in the morning or whatever the fuck you're eating in the morning. You know what I mean, brother?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I'm actually going out for dinner tonight too, and then working out after. So
great.
That's free.
Great. And that post back to back is going to be good, right? Especially if you ate.
Exactly.
Here's what will really work. And Elto, Laura will attest to this because she does a good job with this on our content, where she'll showcase the hamburger and the ice cream she had, on a Friday night or something, I guess, at home, and dinner and then dessert. But then she'll show herself going for a jog that morning or that night to say, hey, like, this is the reason that I'm working out, because I like to have my burger on Friday night, kind of thing, right? And so that's going to work.
Balance.
Yeah, man. Well, showcasing the balance, but also whatever you're eating tonight, right? And then showcasing that, hey, man, I'm putting the time in the gym. Cool?
100%, brother.
Okay, brother, I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Guys, like, content. The name of the game is more. Like, how much more? More. You cannot do enough content. I've heard it all, and I love my current crew, and I loved my crew that I've had in the past. And they've all come around and said something to me along the lines of, maybe you put out too much. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. Not that I don't give a shit about my guys' opinions, but I don't give a shit about if I'm putting out too much. It's the only way that I know if we're doing well. And how am I going to get better if I'm not putting out more content? And something in the back end also that I can add more value to Xavier's question is that you get more comfortable with it. Like, if we go back to my first podcast, like, it sounds like I was going through puberty. The inflection in my voice, the fact that I was maybe speaking too fast because I was so nervous and I was worried that, oh my God, I don't want dead air. And now I'm more confident in my own skin. I just gave you some dead air because I also now know, and I get better over time, that, it gives you time as a viewer and a listener, especially if you're listening to this while you're driving, to take in what I'm saying. Right? So all these things happened for me because over time, I did a lot of content. Doing 5 pieces in a week is great. But what happens is when you do 5 every week for a year, that's a big number now. Now it compounds, and then it starts to cut the learning curve in half. Because I can't tell you how important the feedback loop that you need to get started is. Meaning, when people start telling you, hey man, like, I saw that video that you did on XYZ. Bro, the lighting really sucked, man, and I couldn't hear your audio. Like, the best piece of advice I got from the podcast was probably episode 6, because the first 5 episodes, I think, like, my mom and dad listened to it, maybe. Episode 6, one of my clients, big shout out, still remember, like, Brian, he said to me, Jas, man, like, I love you, bro. You're awesome. But, bro, that podcast, it sounds like you're in a friggin' washroom stall. Like, there's something weird going on. I was like, shit, okay. I only have a $75 mic that I bought kind of from Staples here, and I'm doing it in different rooms. But I didn't even switch it right away because I didn't have the money. I didn't have the resources at that time. And I didn't know if this was something I was going to do for a long period of time. But over time, I invested. I got the $75 mic, went to a $150 mic. We probably have, I don't know, $300 mics now. Like, over time, you can start to invest into better things, right? Because that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves that I get to hear from people in the business and just in general. just in life, just walking around. I don't want to start content yet until I get the top cameras and the top mics and the best backgrounds. And Jas, you have all that stuff. Yeah, but go check out my first 50 episodes, right? So don't try to rush it. Don't try to be that wannabe tennis player with the best racket, best tennis shoes, best outfits, wristbands, headbands, all that kind of stuff. But you haven't even swung the racket yet. Just start getting practice swinging the racket. Who gives a shit about everything else? You can get better over time. The theme of today's episode, I have a funny feeling, was get shit done. Be resourceful. All right? Can't wait to see you guys in episode 264.